I listened yesterday to a podcast from the Southern Poverty Law Center about hate groups. And they were specifically interviewing one woman who had been part of a white supremacist group and asking her how she got involved and, she's left and how she left and why she left and so on. And it made me think uh, a little bit about it's kind of an analogy in some ways for our situation in Samsara. Yeah. She got involved in the group. People were very friendly. They gave her a job. She was important. She had just been a waitress before. Now she had an important job. People respected her. They counted on her. They appreciated her. There was the group that was behind her back, and then the people who, were the enemy that they were opposing. And I was thinking that's kind of like our situation in samsara. We stay with our friends, and our main actions are we help our friends and we harm our enemies. Okay. And then what happened to her is she got involved in a relationship with a man, and then he, from the group, and he was just horrible. And that kind of opened her eyes, and she decided that she had to leave the group. So that's kind of like we may have some bad experience in samsara, worse than all the other ones, and or we may not. It depends on the person. But the idea comes of, I need to leave. I need to do something else. But it's scary because if you're part of a hate group and everybody sticks together, bound by the same philosophy, then if you leave that group, you become part of the enemy group. It's pretty heavy. You can't just move into a neutral state. You become part of the people that they hate, that they want to get rid of. Okay, and this is exactly the way the gangs function in prisons too, which is my whole theory that a lot of these groups are nothing but gangs, essentially. They start out on internet, but they're essentially gangs. Anyway, so that's like us deciding to leave samsara. Uh, it's scary. We're leaving everything that's familiar to us. And everybody who is familiar to us is looking at us like, what in the world are you doing? Are you out of your mind? And they try and change our mind and bring us back into the fold. Okay. And everybody who gets ordained goes through this, I think. And some people make it, and some people go back where it's emotionally comfortable to be with their group or their partner or whoever it is. Okay. But then for her, once she actually left the group and decided that she had to leave, the process of retraining the mind is extremely difficult, because all this stuff that you've heard and the feeling of security and so on that you got from the group really went in quite deep, and now you're giving all of that up. And she was saying that she goes to different support groups. There aren't so many support groups for people who are leaving white supremacist groups, but she was even going to AA and different things, different support groups, where people could support you because you're trying to, change your ways in some way. And she was saying how important those groups are, how important counseling is, not just the groups, but professional one-on-one counseling, and how long it takes to really change the mind so that you don't believe in that stuff. that you learned in the hate group, and so that you are able to stand on your feet emotionally, different from other people, and or different from that group. And I was thinking, yeah, that's exactly what happens with us when we start, a serious Dharma practice. Not only are the people you came from telling you you're out of your mind and you should go back, and they're kind of crying and you're leaving us and you're deserting the family, and you're breaking up with your whoever, and not only that, so to build up your self-confidence that you can leave, but then when you leave, how much support you need from other people. If you're just out there alone trying to uh, redesign the way your mind thinks, it's the same kind of difficulty whether you're leaving a white supremacist group or whether you're trying to leave samsara, because your new way of thinking is the opposite of what you had trained your mind in for so long. So it's very difficult to really retrain the mind, and how important the group is, the group support in doing that, because it's so easy just to go back to what is familiar. Yeah. And she was saying how long it takes. I don't know how long she was in this process since she left the group. But certainly, practicing the Dharma, it's the same thing, trying to really change our way of thinking from thinking one thing is good to another thing is good. Yeah. And the importance of the group and the amount of time it takes. And so to really, be committed to stay in that process, whether you're healing from a white supremacist group or you're trying to heal from samsara, you have to spend the time staying in the process and doing that. So I thought it was a really interesting kind of analogy, and I'm wondering as time goes on if we will be meeting more people like this woman that they interviewed who had been in these kind of groups, who are now seeking support to change their mind and a new way of thinking about things. So we'll see. Yeah. But onward. Yeah. And we're all in this thing doing our best. And we all need each other for support, because the other message we're getting from society in general is the opposite of what the Dharma is saying. Yeah.